Welcome to your 12-Minute HR lesson. Today we're talking about money. We're talking about how it's abstract, how it's not as solid as we think it is, how this abstractness makes it easy for people to accidentally spend it twice, and how that's a problem, and how goodwill and extra effort in the workplace can be the same thing. We can see people going the extra mile or scoring a big win, but overestimating and overvaluing it and spending that twice in the future. Curious about how double spending good work could be happening right in front of you? Then let's go. Today, let's talk about something that's really quite boring. This isn't an interesting story to start with. This isn't Schindler's List. This isn't Johnny Cash Hurt. This isn't any of those interesting and thought-provoking artistic ideas. Today, we're going to start by talking about a simple problem in economics, the double spend problem. Before we do that, we need to think about the concept of money. Let's only skim over it briefly because it gets very complex very quickly. We think of money as a concrete thing. A dollar is a dollar, a pound is a pound, a yen is a yen. It is what it is. But we don't live in a world of physical currency. We don't live in a world where you physically hold gold or silver or a note or a coin. Money has become increasingly abstract. If you really want to think about it, even silver, did they ever really mean anything? Or is it that it was agreed that silver meant something? Anyway, there's a lot to unpack in that area, and realistically it's just a large rabbit warren to go down. We live in a world where a dollar can be used in advance, and that dollar used in advance needs to be followed up later. To put it a different way, generally speaking, if you spend money today, your bank doesn't reconcile that spend until midnight. There is a possibility that the abstract concept of a dollar can be spent twice. That you could, if you've got $5 in your bank account, spend that $5 twice and end up with a negative $5. That $5 in your bank you can spend in two places. You can buy 2 coffees, and the bank doesn't have enough money when it comes to midnight to cover both of those transactions. Generally speaking, it's not a major problem because they just put you into negative, they punish you, but they are now in debt, and that $5 may never be recovered. So let's not get too far down the complexities of economics. All I want you to think about is this simple concept. Someone can accidentally or intentionally spend something twice, and the whole economy gets a little bit in trouble. Gets on a very, very minuscule level. So before we get into the specifics of how this actually applies, a quick ad for our company. Pragmatic HRM is primarily an HR training organization, helping HR professionals be wiser, smarter, clearer in their thinking and understanding of the complex people situations that they are looking at every day. To give an example, one of the courses that we run is engagement and motivation, a perennial problem and question that HR is trying to wrap its head around. How can we get people to be more engaged? How can we get people to be more motivated? And this course gives you answers on both, but also an understanding of the differences between them. The primary way in which we train people is via webinars, but we do this in 2 ways. One is you can join via a live online webinar, but if that time doesn't suit you, you can also access a pre-recorded session at a lower price. So have a look at our website, pragmatichrm.nz for all of our courses, all of our services. So how does this apply in the workplace? The workplace is like any other situation where people do things together by mutual agreement, mutual consent, and expectations of give and take. Whether or not it's in our family, whether or not it's in our relationships, whether or not it's in our workplace, some people do this more than others. Some people don't do it at all. There's a whole interesting theory about givers, takers, and transactioners that we will get into one day, but I do quite like it. But basically, there's the idea that we have this implicit idea that if I go above and beyond, that gets me a little bit of goodwill. This is something that not everybody does. Some people do it more than others. But if you are managing people, there will be this expectation. If they are doing anything beyond stock standard, that will come with an implicit expectation that this is goodwill, that this is bonus points. Where things tend to fall down is how much are those bonus points worth, how long do they last, and do people accidentally double spend them? In one of my previous podcasts, I talked about the complexity of Schrodinger's representative, in which I said, look, there's also a companion article to this one. The companion article to this one is the question of why do people not realize when they're not performing well? Why do people think that they are doing fine or they are doing well, and that is not what we think, or that is not what the manager thinks? And I go through a series of explanations, but one of those is what we're talking about today, a potential double spend. And the question implicit to this is, how long can someone rest on laurels? How long does bonus work or extra work last? If someone has done something good and they cash that in, do they clear their decks? Do they empty that from their ledger? Or do they still think they have it? Here is an example. Someone works late, someone stays late, someone comes in early. They might stay half an hour late. They might come in 10 minutes late on 3 occasions. What's the probability that if they are keeping score, if they are maintaining a mental register, what's the probability that they still think that they're in the positive? I don't know. The short answer is it does depend on the person, does depend if they're a pessimist and optimist, but there's every chance that they will remember the big effort and forget the series of small gaps and misses. I'll give you another situation. You might have a recruiter or someone in your HR team who made a good placement. They got someone, that person's doing really well, they fitted in, that's a real win, a real score. So yes, that's a job well done. How long does that credit last for? Is that wiped out by the next person who fell through? Arguably, yes, but we don't think about that way, do we? You might have one good placement, you might have another person, they go all the way through and they don't accept the job or they take another offer. You've got to start the process again. When does that win get balanced by a lot? So what's your takeaway on this one? This is a very practical, very short, simple, very specific thing that you will see. And what I'm trying to do is help you see it when it's in front of you. Every so often, whether or not someone's performance or either someone in your team or someone who reports to you, or you are supporting a manager, putting someone through a PIP process, you will get someone weighing the positives with the negatives, the wins with the losses, the good times with the bad times, the successes with the struggles. I do give people the benefit of the doubt, and I do strongly suggest you do as well. They are thumbing the scale, but accidentally. They are remembering the things that they did well, and they are forgetting the things that they didn't do as well as they could have, especially if they're little things, especially if they're little gaps, little slips here. Humans can be really optimistic. They remember the big wins. They remember the feeling good when they succeeded. and they don't remember either they're not feeling so great or the little things that they didn't quite do well. We have potentially quite an optimistic hindsight bias. What this means is don't punish them for doing it, but recognize their perception may not be perfect. There is no way to truly quantify how much a positive is weighed against the negative, particularly when it's broad and unquantifiable things. What I'm saying is you will often see an accidental, unintentional, very foreseeable, very understandable, but at the end of the day, fundamental error in logic where people are looking to spend the same credit twice or double its value. Either way, we are not very good at our internal accounting of brickbats and bouquets, but more often than not, people will build up the bigger bouquet and shrink down the brickbat. I'll give you a little insight to what I'm trying to achieve here. I'm trying to put these little nuggets in your brain in which you go, oh yeah, that guy was talking about that. What was his name? That guy with the podcast thing, 12-minute something. He was talking about that. Now that I can see it, that makes sense. And what I'm hoping to do is just give you a little trigger, a little moment of, aha, now I know what I'm looking at. And before I would see it, but not quite be sure what it is I'm seeing. That's what I'm hoping to give you. Hopefully you've got that. Hopefully at some stage you're going to go, oh yeah, he was talking about that thing, the double spend thing, where people go, oh yeah, I've done this amazing job 12 months ago. That sort of stuff. Anyway, if you want to see more of where else you can find more aha moments, there's the podcast, there's the articles, you can find them on our website. You can also find our courses for a whole raft of aha moments, both online or in person. Failing that, you could see how we can help you with your problems when you can't quite figure them out. So have a look at our website, pragmatichrm.nz, for the services and the courses that we offer. Otherwise, please post us, like us, share us, any way that other people can also have these little aha moments for free. Thanks.